The final goodbye. The year is 1631 and it's summertime in India. Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan and his wife, the beautiful Mumtaz Mahal, are expecting their 14th child together. Their first child, a son named Khusro, had been born prematurely and was not expected to live. But the infant defied the odds and lived for 24 long years, only to die right before his father's eyes just a few weeks ago. Now, despite her advanced age, Mumtaz Mahal is pregnant again. As always, she rides in a golden howdah on the back of an elephant to the birthing chamber, where, after a difficult labor, she gives birth to a daughter. She calls the baby Jahanara, and Shah Jahan becomes overjoyed. He himself cradles the newborn, declaring that this child is the jewel of the world. But little did he know that this would be the last time he would ever hold his beloved wife. Mumtaz Mahal was suffering from postpartum complications and quickly became gravely ill. Despite summoning the best physicians in the empire, nothing could be done to save her. Within a few days, she was dead. Heartbroken, the Emperor Shah Jahan retreated into his palace, refusing to accept the reality of his wife's death. He kept calling out her name, saying, "Come, come, my heart is aflame with longing for you." In his grief, he shed the robes of royalty, cut off his long fingernails, and gave up all pleasures, including food. He locked himself in his bedroom, refusing to see anyone, including his close family members and loyal ministers. His entire world had turned upside down, and he was too afraid to even step outside and face it. For 7 days, the emperor refused to eat or drink anything. Finally, on the 7th day, when everyone had lost hope of seeing him emerge from his chambers, he finally stepped out. It was his eldest son, Prince Darashikoh, who convinced him to at least take some nourishment so that he didn't harm himself. Still overcome with grief, Shah Jahan allowed himself to be persuaded, but he had no intention of moving on from his beloved wife. For the next 2 years, he continued to mourn her loss. The entire empire was in shock. No one had seen such a spectacle before, a powerful emperor completely inconsolable over the death of his wife. Many courtiers were eager to move on and get the emperor remarried, but none dared speak a word of this in front of the grieving man. Even Mumtaz's own sister was summoned by Shah Jahan to his court, and she dared not ask him to forget his late wife. It wasn't until the 2nd anniversary of her death that he agreed to meet her. He called for his wife's sister, who was now an inmate of the royal harem, and asked her why Mumtaz hadn't yet come to see him in his dreams. Why had she abandoned him? Overwhelmed with the raw pain of the emperor, her sister couldn't hold back tears and told him, "O king, do not blame your queen. Her soul has gone to God. Who can hinder her?" Hearing this, Shah Jahan realized that there was no chance of seeing his wife again. Only then did he allow himself to be persuaded by his nobles to remarry. But even after marrying, he never forgot Mumtaz. On the contrary, he started to immortalize her memory in everything he did, and most importantly, he decided to build a magnificent mausoleum for her in the city of Agra. But have you ever wondered what were Mumtaz Mahal's final words to Shah Jahan? How did she know that she wouldn't survive childbirth? And what was the spark that led to the construction of the Taj Mahal? Well, let me tell you, it was 3 months before Mumtaz gave birth to Jahanara. She was informed by her maids that the emperor was planning to marry one of his new concubines. It hurt her deeply. While it was common for men of her husband's status to have harems full of women, it still stung to be replaced. Hence, she decided to finally confront her husband about his philandering ways. One day, when the emperor came to visit her, she spoke up, asking him if he thought that she was unaware of his plans to take another wife. Shah Jahan was taken aback by her question and replied, "What are you talking about? Why would I do such a thing?" Mumtaz then pointedly asked if it was because she had failed to bear him a male heir that he wanted to replace her. To this, Shah Jahan promised to never ever do anything of the sort and swore that she would remain his one and only love. A few days later, when the emperor came to visit her again, Mumtaz asked him to keep his promise and swear on his life. Reluctantly, he did. However, when she asked him to swear on the Quran, he refused, saying that such a thing had never happened between them before, and hence there was no need for a solemn oath. But Mumtaz insisted, saying that she would not be appeased unless he swore on the Quran. Shah Jahan, who had never been defied by his wife before, felt angry and insulted. He argued that it was his body and he had every right to do as he pleased. But Mumtaz stood her ground, saying that if he took another wife, she would leave the palace and go live in the countryside. She knew she had him trapped. But instead of being grateful, Shah Jahan became furious and stormed out of the room. The two didn't speak to each other again, and a few days later, Mumtaz fell gravely ill when Shah Jahan visited her. She asked him to forgive her for scolding him and told him that she knew she would unsurvive childbirth. She told him to not let his anger towards her cloud his judgment and to not take any rash decisions. Then she asked him to swear on his life that he would not take another wife. A broken Shah Jahan readily agreed, swearing that he would never ever marry another woman. After she died, he kept his promise, never taking a concubine or a wife. Instead, he chose to spend the rest of his life building the most extravagant monument of love for his late wife. However, history also tells us that Mumtaz's last wish was that her and Shah Jahan's remains should be buried together. So when she died, her body was preserved in a special chamber, and Shah Jahan waited for his own mortal coil to be cast aside. After 7 years of constant grief, he finally died, and his body was brought here to be laid to rest beside his beloved wife. Today, both their remains lie interred beneath the iconic onion dome of the Taj Mahal. They were truly meant to be together, even in death. In fact, many historians believe that the real reason behind Shah Jahan's bizarre behavior after his wife's death is not just grief, but also a deep sense of guilt. You see, he desperately wanted a male heir to carry on his bloodline. And when his son Khusro died, he summoned the court physician and ordered him to keep the boy alive artificially by all means necessary. And while he did manage to keep the young prince alive for 24 years, many believe that this unnatural prolongation of life resulted in Khusro becoming a weakling who could unsurvive in the open. So, when Khusro died, Shah Jahan felt guilty for not letting nature run its course, and he probably transferred all his guilt onto his wife, who he believed had somehow cursed him with misfortune. This, combined with his grief, resulted in him behaving like a man possessed. I'm your host, and if you want to learn more about the incredible love story of Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal, stay tuned for more updates. Until then, take care and remember to subscribe for more videos like these.